Hi, so in this video I'm going to talk about averaging in SipperViz and making average plots. There are different plots for averaging the drink count, drink duration, and for the side and content preference as well. But we're just going to start by making this average drink count plot. That's about the most basic one. So if you haven't seen the file or the video about grouping files, you should look at that because this is going to use that. Okay, so I'm just going to load some files from the example data, these same date sippers. It's 3 files that were all recorded at the same time in February. Okay, so I'm going to create a group with them. There's a shortcut for this, which is if you do right-click, create group with, and then just going to enter a group name. We'll say they're all the control group, and then it's just going to add them all to a group. Okay, so let's see the settings that are affecting this drink count plot. So there's a couple things. The first one is that they are affected by these drinks settings. So we saw that this affects the drink count, just the regular drink count plot we made. If we want to make an average drink count plot, these settings will also apply. So we can make an average for the left bottle, an average for the right bottle, or if we had contents loaded, we could do that as well. I think eventually I'll make a video showing an averaging of contents as well. So here I'm just going to keep left and right selected. There's also these averaging settings, which are specific to all the plots that do averaging. The first setting is the averaging method, which there are 3 choices. I think in another video I'm going to explain these in more depth, but for now I'm just going to stick with absolute time. There's the bin size, which is how often we want to bin the data when creating an average. So I'm just going to put that at 1 hour. And then there's the error metric, which is just how we're going to show the spread around the average. So you can shade either the standard error or the standard deviation, or you can select individual data, which means instead of creating shading of an error or of the variance, we're going to actually show a line for each file that's being used in the group. I'm just going to select standard error for now. Okay, and then the last thing to note is that there is this groups tab where we can control what groups are going to be averaged. So right now we only have one group control that we made, and it shows up here highlighted. And that means if we make any of these average plots, we're going to include this control group to make our curves. You can unselect this with control click. If you had more groups, you could select specific ones. So let's say I create a silly group that I'm using for some other purpose in the program. I'm just going to call it some control. So maybe I believe these 2 files are different for some reason than this other one, so I made a little group for them. But when I make the plot, I don't want to plot these ones or don't want to plot this subcontrol group specifically. I just want to make the control. So then I'll go into plots, groups, and then just unhighlight that subcontrol and just keep the control highlighted. Okay, so I think that's all good, and now we can just make this average drink count plot, and there it pops up. So we have for the 3 files in this control group, which is all 3 of these, the average for the left bottle, average for the right bottle, and the standard error of the mean is shaded. And you can see that here in this plot info. And the binning size was 1 hour. And you'll see here the averaging method that was used, which is here is called date time. And that is the same, or that is the same as this setting here. So in the next video, I'm going to explain what the difference between these is and maybe the situations where you'd want to use them.